Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B. And joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Four, and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog. Great to be here.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Great to be back.
I feel like I just saw all of you guys like the other day.
I saw... Did we, though?
Did we?
I saw like 4,000 people the other day. I don't know if I remember seeing you guys or not.
At least 4,600 people from what the official records are saying.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So, I want to start off real quick by saying Mike Haspil, legendary author, not only author of Graveyard Shift, award-winning, but also the innovator of the doubles format. Congratulations for putting it together, Haspil. 172 players, man.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough going. Could not have done it without two people in particular I need to call out. Player Jesse, Tiny Canadian. Guy dropped from our tournament and then came to work for us. Like by the end of the day, he was doing at least 50% of all the data entry for sportsmanship scores and everything. I was just like, ridiculous. Like, did not expect that. And then out of nowhere, we get Sean Naden walking up going, hey, do you guys need a judge? Like, we're going to tell him no. You know what I mean? Now we got this. Don't worry about it. But
no, it was amazing. He stepped right in. Like, I ended up playing in top 16, so I couldn't be there for the first hour, amazing. Sean is a stud of all men. And I realized we didn't say this earlier. Shout out to Shane and Mel. Came in clutch at Dice Edge, paint scores. They were like on
Ringer Army.
Ringers.
Dicehead.com, obviously the proprietors of the ATCs, the American Team Championships out in Chattanooga, one of the other biggest, clutchest team events in the history of the game. And they came out and they just handled business. They, like you said, they were a Ringer Army, but also they handled some epic data entry for us too.
Yep, they did. It was nuts. And I've sent out Best Coast pairings. The app worked. We had one minor hiccup right at the beginning that drove the pucker factor through the roof. We had
the old fucker.
Haspil walks up to me. He's like, "Dab, shit to bed." And I was like, "Okay, what do we do?" He said, "We got to find this guy." We're just like immediately looking for this guy. We come back to the booth and you guys are still entering people. And we're like, well, is it still working? And then after we enter a few more people, Haspil like restarts it, looks at it. And he was like, I just saw his face. He was like, I was like, damn, what was all that? He's like, my beehole was inside me.
I had sucked that shit up.
But it ran fine and ran great. I wrote them a nice little after action suggestion thing today, sent them an email, hoping, obviously they're not going to be able to adopt everything, but it was just stuff that we ran into. Almost all of it was related to data entry. And some of it, we're going to change our format to make it a little bit more friendly to using Best Coast.
I love the fact that you can customize the app with hobby scores now, but I'd like to see that API also open up a secondary dialogue box on their end so they can fulfill those, because it kind of makes it harder in some places. But at the end of the day, it worked. It worked, homie. It literally worked. We had, like I said, 172 people, which puts us in the top 5 category of biggest just GT level events simultaneously with probably the biggest doubles event ever.
I mean, 172 play maxed out. We had 30 people on the wait list. Like it was bananas.
I will say it usually doesn't happen like this. An event sells out at their max and then they actually launch the event 30 people under, 20 people under, even Adepticon this year, there's the waiting list. And then we were all gaggled around the desk trying to get, because I didn't have a ticket. Nick Not-A-Body didn't have a ticket. I mean, there was 15 of us there, and every one of us got in. Yep. And I think the event sells out at 256.
Yeah, they had I think he told me
220.
They started like almost at that number. Like they were like, we were only a few people under that number, which is what biggest Adepticon championships in years. Obviously ridiculous, And
there was There was
if I'm not mistaken, on the app, actual names entered in was only, I think it was 221. So, but yeah, either way, I mean, it's amazing. I don't even know when the last time Adepticon had 200 people in it.
No, I mean, that's a good point.
Wasn't in 6th or 7th edition.
No.
I mean, obviously I can get fact checked. I just interviewed Chris and Jason from Adepticon. So on that interview, the real numbers, obviously I'm misremembering.
The official numbers will soon to be revealed.
Yeah, soon to be, because obviously this is a giant sized issue. We do this once a year post Adepticon, more length and girth. We've got 4 interviews lined up. We've got my man, Mini Wargame Quirk, Dave Quirk over there. He's known for doing some battle reports for a small time, let's face it, small time video platform, Mini Wargaming. So we actually did a fun promotion where he ran a Death Dread that I painted for him. Name Master, like, you know, it's Watane Clan rides again, right? Master Killer Can. So he got to run that dude, cover that at the event. So we got a fun, you know, perspective from him. We also interviewed Jason Craze, legendary individual, Slow Fuse Gaming, who was one half of the booth 801, where all the magic was happening all weekend. Got a clutch interview right there. We got an interview with the not champ, Nick Navati, where he's going to go over some.
You got to rub that in. Damn, no. That's ice.
Cold as ice. So we got a clutch interview with him where he covers some of like his concepts of why the meta shifts, why it's necessary, and what his predictions of the new FAQs are going to be and why, and if he thinks they're necessary. And of course, we got Chris, Jason, Adepticon. We're going to lead the pack with that. So we got an hour of interviews lined up and an hour episode where we got to cover some of the stuff that happened at Adepticon, the new releases, and of course, Necrons. I heard this from you, Rob, that you can knock them down, but they can
Codex Chumbawamba.
They can get back up again.
At least once or twice. Sometimes twice in the same turn. I think Necrons are going to be pretty good. I mean, obviously the Adepticon preview was off the chain. We saw the Ionith Deepkin coming in hot. It looks like they're going to go on pre-order starting next week. Right when Drakari release, that's the Dark Eldar. That's their government name. They're Drakari TM. And what else is there? I don't even know. So we got that. Oh, the new Knight Castellan.
Yeah, Knight Castellan.
All the guns. I haven't looked at, I should really take a closer look at the, put enough of those guys together. I can definitely recognize the undercarriage and see if it's the existing one, or see if they're going to redesign one, or what's going on with that.
Is there literally another Knight with 1 million guns? What was the last one that was like triple armored up with all the guns on it? Like, how do you add more guns?
Oh no, it's got more guns. Its chest weapons are twin link meltas. 2 of them.
I feel that was a thing in Epic.
Yeah, no, Castellan was an Epic robot, but
I don't remember.
He was a robot. It wasn't a knight.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
I'll have to look that one up. It was an Imperial robot for sure. I don't remember, but it definitely looks unique. You can draw some comparisons to that, to some other stuff out there. So I think that's going to be pretty fresh. What else was there?
That whole line of dialogue was highly informative.
Well, that's what we do.
Some of us played things back in the 90s, Kenny.
But I played Nintendo back in the 90s.
But it might behoove some people who are like speculating on what new big units might be coming out, that they come from Epic. If you hadn't figured that out before, that's where they're coming from.
The new Termite kit from Forge World. That's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tunneler that comes up out of the ground. Which, by the way, Teenage Mutant Ninjas Tunneler came out first before the Termite.
Oh, we're gonna get a lawsuit. Trademark.
There's Games Workshop and there's Eastman Liard. Who's the people that own Turtles? I can tell you which one's bigger.
I'm shocked already that you're that you could even begin to pretend you know the name of that dude. I'm like, what?
I felt like if I could put some letters together to make something sound like what you were going to say, I was going to create you like this. I'm like, I literally can't even make that noise. I don't even know what you said.
I know one of the guys passed away. One of the guys that designed that originally, but the other guy is definitely still alive. I think he put money into, what was that Heavy Metal 2000 movie that came out? I think he funded that.
Heavy Metal 2000 with Julie Strain artwork and Simon Bisley. Yeah, that's my heat, dog.
Yeah, that was. I think that was produced by the existing partner of the Turtles.
Fuck, I still have that soundtrack on CD, dog.
It reminds me of that video game, the Heavy Metal, the car video game where you could put like all the fucking weapons on each car.
Twisted Steel.
Twisted Metal. There
Twisted
it is.
Metal.
Oh, the clown guy.
Yeah.
Who's that guy's? Yeah. That was it, man. That was my heat back in '94. That's what Kenny was doing in '94. I was playing Space Marines.
Kenny was playing Pog in '94, homie.
I was hustling that Pog scene, dog. We're bringing it back. Long War, Slow Fuse Gaming Booth 801 2019 Adepticon. We're going to bring back Pogs with a Grandmaster Pogs tournament. You're not ready for this.
Don't come unless you're prepared to get your shit jacked.
About to jack your Pogs.
90s slammers. Yeah. With the little holograms on them. Remember that, like the 8-ball hologram on the slammer?
Dog, I remember them all. You could buy Pogs in vending machines back in those days.
Well, that was one of the reasons the Pogs crashed, because everybody and their mom could make a Pog. You could put it. They were coming in cereal boxes. They were everybody. It was.
Turns out a piece of cardboard with a fucking sticker on it doesn't cost that much to make.
Nah, like you want a business card? Yeah, my business card is a Pog. Like,
oh my god, I'm bringing that back. You heard it here. Next level painting business cards next year are Pogs.
Pogs.
Nice.
That's right. UV coated double-sided Pogs. But anyway, so we've got that coming out. Lots of inspiration being drawn now. This week's release, of course, we just saw Forge Bane come out. I didn't talk about it. Did you guys talk about it?
Mm.
Anyways, we might have skipped a week because of Adepticon, so we're not going to talk about the Baby Knights. But apparently they were incredibly successful release. I know a lot of stores got in 10 to 20 copies and pretty much sold through the majority of them. So that's good to hear. On the
true story.
I'm picking mine up tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm getting mine tomorrow.
People like them Knights. So coming out this week, of course, is all the Necron stuff. You got to start collecting box. You got the Codex. You got the data cards. No dice. Sorry, guys. But there is just the normal stuff there that we've come to know and love. Next week is going to be the Dakari. Again, no dice, data cards, Codex. But the following week will be supposedly the new Ionis Deepkin. And then I think, if I remember correctly, and I got to fact check myself, but I think the new Van Sargang comes out the week after.
Yeah, very soon. I'm pumped for them. I used to play them back in the day, in the original Necromunda.
Yo, and they straight up look very similar to some Infinity models out there. That's all I'm saying. There's some new models. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, there's a limit to the variations I think you can do on like sci-fi armor. You know,
there's only so many
rifles. There's only so much you can really do.
No, I
like their old look, but it was a bit,
dated.
Frank Herbert, a little bit. That's why I picked them. Actually, was because I was just like, I'd sit there and quote Sting all the time. I will kill him.
Best movie in the history ever. Jean-Luc Picard was in Dune.
Gurney Halleck.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
Of course you knew. I knew you knew that. Anyways, Plastic Sisters on the way 2019. I imagine late summer, early fall 2019, based on the statements they made about trial rules in the chapter approved, time to print Codex books, that they needed something to talk about at Adepticon. But I would want, and here, feel free to chime in on this. I'm more curious about what they didn't tell us at Adepticon that's on the way this year than what they told us. Because remember last year, what came out? 8th edition came out, and that's cool. And Death Guard came out, and they looked pretty fresh. Well, what's the one thing they didn't tell us that was coming? Primaris Marines. And I would say that was the biggest thing from last year, was Primaris Marines.
So I can see that. Let me tell you what is going to be happening. So you said end of 18, beginning of 19 is when Plastic.
They said 2019. I would imagine late summer, early fall 2019.
Okay, so late summer, early fall, I will have a Plastic Sisters army.
that was
let it be known. Let it be known. I will be playing Sisters
for my prediction.
Time.
I'm gonna say that Sisters on Bikes is gonna be a thing.
Oh,
because we wants it.
Yes,
we wants the precious,
and we must have it.
Yeah. So, there's also like a crazy right now. If you're hearing this, you got about 12 days, maybe 13 days. there is a crazy humble bundle going on right now, called Tales from the Worlds of Warhammer. If you pay $1, you get like, I feel like it's like a bunch of books, just like Nightbringer, Gates of Ezir, Baneblade, Halion Rain, audio drama. You get 75% off Battlefleet Gothic Armada. You get 66% off Total War Warhammer. Right there, just alone. If you haven't played Total War Warhammer and your computer can handle it, just get that right there. Just perfect, right? There's a ton of other books. The way the humble bundles work, you can just like essentially pay what you want, but the more you pay, the more you also unlock. So if you pay $8, you unlock like another 8 books, 70% off Dawn of War. I feel like that's the original, not Dawn of War 3, the abomination that shan't be spoken of. And then you get 10% off Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr. That is the Warhammer 40K Diablo action RPG kind of clone. And 60% off of Space Hulk Deathwing.
No, it's Dawn of War 3, Haspil.
It is Dawn of War 3. Okay. I'm gonna turn off my chip for a second. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Wow, you heard it here.
Dawn of War 3 straight sucks.
His blood is about to start dripping from his nose.
Yeah.
The chip is kicking in overdrive. Take over.
It is a massive misstep, and that's a rant for another day. But if you pay $15 or more, you also unlock like another 7 books. The Prisoner of the Black Sun audio drama, which is an AOS audio drama, 50% off Sanctus Reach, 40% off Space Wolf, which is a really fun card-activated turn-based strategy game.
You guys were playing that for a while.
Yeah, Kenny was playing PvP on that. I never graduated to PvP. I sucked at the game. But yeah, you get some exclusive content.
I was OP.
Yeah. It's a good game. It's a really good game. It's a turn-based game where you get like cards in your hand and you use cards to control your guys' attacks and stuff, your squad's attacks or their movement, et cetera, et cetera. It's actually something I wouldn't mind seeing adapted to the tabletop because it's very well suited for that. But it is also kind of a free-to-play model, at least on the mobile platforms. On Steam, it was not free-to-play, so they didn't nickel and dime you as much. But it had a lot of microtransactions as a result of being free-to-play, which is fine. That's part of the model. You know it. You're buying into it. Also, and I'm just going to cover this really quick. One of the other things that happened at Adepticon is we had the largest Grand Clash ever with 96 participants. For Shadespire. And I feel I've been getting a lot of PMs and stuff on Facebook. Folks are beginning to figure out that Shadespire is not Gore Chosen and it isn't Shadow War Armageddon. It is here to stay. So folks are wondering what they need to do to get into Shadespire. My answer would be you can buy everything for $200. And if you want to be competitive, I feel like you need to have everything. However, I understand money could be tight and everything. So what you absolutely need to have is you need to have the starter box. It's kind of like X-Wing. The starter comes with all the chits that you need to play the game, comes with the boards that you need to play the game, and it comes with 2 factions. Both of which are pretty good. And if you had asked me a week ago, I would have said, well, one of them's pretty good and one of them's terrible. But, you know, that guy finished second at Adepticon with the Reavers. Yeah. Yeah. Orcs took it, but Reavers came in second.
I gotta look up that deck. I bet you would say over 20 card deck because I think that's the only way to win with them.
And it might be, but that's perfectly allowable. And then you could, so once you have the starter, then you can pick up your, whatever faction you want to play outside those 2 that come in the starter box. They're going to run you about $30. If you want to play competitively, I feel like you need every single faction. But if you don't, if you're just playing for fun, you do not need that stuff. And then what's brilliant is if you go to warhammerunderworlds.com, GW has a really good card library there. And they tell you where the card comes from, in what expansion it comes out of. So say you're just wargaming your deck and you're like, man, I really need Earthquake, or I really need Spoils of Battle or something. You can look on there and it'll say, this comes out of the Skaven expansion, or this comes out of the Dwarf expansion. So if you only, if you built your deck up and you're like, you know what, I'm just using the core Orc cards, and I maybe need this one other card, it'll tell you what that expansion's in, and you can go find just that expansion. But honestly, the game is so good, I would just say, just jump right in the deep end, buy it all. It's cheap.
Yep. Get in while you can now. So when it's only like super cheap, $30 to buy each expansion, I think that's the way to go.
And that's pretty unheard of, that you get cool models that have colored resin. So, the corner red, the Skaven are different color, everything else, which I love that aspect of it, right? And so everybody's just not great models. And you get specific cards for each one. Like, I can't wait. Our great friend of the show, good buddy of mine, Lucas, barely tabletop painting, has just finished up all the Skaven to literally match my Skaven army that I already have. Oh, and they're like the sick green, like obviously it's my paint scheme, but just done by somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, and so they look sick. So hopefully, matter of fact, we're going to be in the Beach Lab recording some videos. Maybe we can get some Shadespire action going on. I know we've been talking about it.
I have a rat stack.
Ooh.
Yep, we'll see. Well, that's good. That's all good stuff to hear. I don't know. I think that's all. New release things, stuff. Tyranids won Adepticon.
They did. Shout out Matt Root. Took that down. Flying Hive Tyrants did their thing. I want to give a couple shout outs while we're in this area. Man had an amazing game with Brad Chester. Been on ETC a billion times. Really good guy. Played each other in the finals. Had a good showdown. Had to pull the trigger on deploying my entire army on the gun line to just be like, I know what Eldar does in progressive mission sets. They will just run away with the game. I'll keep my models for a little bit, but they will run away with it. I have to put myself on the gun line and just win the roll to go first. I didn't. And then I was like, I'll just seize. It's fine. I've done this before. I need to practice more.
I need to roll more sixes.
I need to practice seizing more.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a classy guy. We actually spent a couple hours just drinking some beers in the hotel room that night before the championships, after the championships before the finals. And we were kicking it with Greg Sparks, Brad Chester, your opponent in the next round. And you guys are just talking shop about your lists. Yeah. Full transparency about like your tactics and what you guys are playing on each other.
Yeah, Chester's like, what does that unit do when you're doing it? I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I got a word. And I was like, how do you use this, this stratagem together? And actually him and Sean Naden are in the room. They're all talking about it. Like, well, if you do this, this is how you counter it and blah, blah, blah. So again, stand up individuals. This is what the competitive 40K scene needs to stay like. People having amazing games. Also, shout out to Sean Naden, who came around for the before the beginning of the top 16 and threw out all the Riot game. If y'all didn't know, Riot Games sent Alex Fennel bracelets that say WWAD. What would Alex do? Yes. All those were passed out at the beginning of the top 16 to make sure everybody realized at the end of the day, this is a game. We need to say stand up. Intent is a real thing.
No doubt. Big shout out to everybody who came by the booth 108, the Long War, Slow Fuse, Spikey Bits, like the party booth, essentially, right? Right next to, we did the Long War scavenger. It was amazing. We took a lot of pictures with people this weekend. Please upload your selfies, tag us. We want to take those pictures, put them into our respective promotions throughout the year, honor the community for coming out and supporting us. It was a big deal. Overall, massive success. Haspil, you were slinging books.
There was so much love. Yeah, and I owe some people an apology. Like Sam, he wanted a book from me, and I like completely spaced it and ran out of books before he could get his. And it turns out I messed up. Like I should have brought at least 3 times the number of books. Yeah. I do want to shout out the Basement Collective, because they hooked me up with like a dice bag full of all kinds of stuff and everything too, all kinds of swag. So I was just like, that's awesome. You know, there was just love, like from the moment I landed in the greater Chicago area. Like we went to the Libertyville store, and it's like, I think the manager is Chris there. Everybody in there was like Long War listeners, fans and everything. All the way to like when I was flying out of the airport and ran into Ed. And it was just awesome. It was just so much love just all around. And I can't thank people enough.
Single best Adepticon ever. It was the vibe in the room. We had people coming up who were playing in the Friendlies tournament on Friday, and literally our 172 players. It was like, I kept saying this phrase, all it was like, it wasn't a tournament, it was like a family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Like people were coming up, high-fiving, cheersing, having great games. You know, do you know how many times people came up and was like, yo, this is my first event. I took what you guys said and I flew here from Florida. I flew from whatever. I'm not playing in anything but this event. I've never done anything like this before. And I jumped in the deep end, and it was just, you know, I mean, it's saw and hung out with guys who've been there with us from the beginning when there was just, you know, 20 tables being occupied. You know,
right? When we were like, wow, there's 40 people in this tournament. How are we going to handle this?
How are we going to handle
Back when we were hobos and we did everything on paper. Yeah. That shit was a lot of paper. Like ridiculous. I mean, we have so many scores, you know, so many hobby scores, you know, so something we got to connect with Adepticons around some sweet new algorithms, you know, so. And obviously they're going to, you know, maybe by next Adepticon, we have the sickest Best Coast Pairings app, you know, team format possible. I mean, maybe we just blow the lid off this team thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I love where 8th edition is heading. It leaves a lot of doors open, and so many people are getting involved. So I literally couldn't imagine a better Adepticon from start to finish, from playing games, having fun, kicking it at the booth. We shut down that entire corner there.
Oh, yeah.
It was almost like you couldn't walk through there because everybody was stopping, taking pictures, hanging out, wanting, buying some
buying us shots of Johnny Walker Blue Label, getting iced all day.
Iced all weekend.
If you guys want to hear some great icing stories, you just got to go back up, download the webcast. Yeah. We cover the icing stories in detail, which there were many.
Turns out having the booth right next to the Forge World booth, and if you have a chip in your head, mistakes were made.
Oh, no. I saw you over there buying up some stuff. What you get?
I didn't intend on it. I was like, I'm not buying anything. I'm just going to walk over here.
You actually went over there because you saw Dave over there. And you're like, I'm going to go save him. He's standing in that line. He's going to spend too much money. And you came back with a bag of Forge. You're like, I fucked up.
Yo, I'm not gonna go to that corner to buy rocks. I'm gonna just go to that corner to see if he has crack rocks for sale. But I'm not gonna buy them though.
No. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people over there. Like, yo, I'm just gonna go over there and like get these people right with their lives. Y'all stay in line trying to smoke crack. Like,
I don't want any crack. I'm just gonna tell them like save their money.
Crack is whack.
Yeah, crack is whack. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, I mean, so it was awesome. Being next door to Forge World was awesome. Just a friendly reminder to any other vendors out there. I'm sorry if you don't like being next to Forge World.
We'll take that. We'll bear that cross for you.
We'll bear that for you. Anybody right in that vicinity doesn't want to be there next year, just hit us up because we're looking to expand the booth anyway. We'll take it from you. It's our favorite spot.
Did you guys know there was going to be a line here all weekend? Yeah, actually, we did.
Yep. This is terrible. Our people. Well, come to find out, those people are our people.
I feel like
we like saying hey to anybody who walks by.
They're all the same people. Like, yeah. What do you mean they're not? Yeah, I don't even know.
It was fun, but we got to cover a lot of Necron stuff before we got to cover lots of other things. So, commercial break, and then dive into the. I just can't say it. Somebody else say that thing that you guys have been saying about it.
Chumbawamba.
There you go.
ElrixHobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elrix Hobbies. ElrixHobbies.com.
Dear veterans, quickly! Make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com.
And we're back from the longest, most Limp Bizkit infused commercial break of all time. Rob, what's going on with them Necrons?
Yo, Necrons are coming in hot. I think we got some rules to go over. We're just gonna hit it hard and fast, just the way we like it. Just go over some stuff real quick that I think is dope. We've already talked about a lot of it. So the dynastic codes, that's the regiments or the traits, whatever you want to call them.
Legions, whatever.
Yeah, whichever
High
you want to call
fleets.
them. We got Sawtech. I don't even know if these are real words, but we're going to go with it. This is the one if you advance, treat all
If you need some help knowing how to pronounce those, just ask me.
Phone a friend.
Just ask me. I got you.
This is the one that if they advance, it treats all ranged weapons as assault weapons. So rapid fire becomes assault, heavy D6 or whatever becomes assault. They
like
also don't suffer the penalty to shoot them. Seems pretty good.
Seems good.
Just add D6 inches. So add a moving and advance to the range of your weapon. Like I am behind that.
Secretly one of the most useful styles of traits. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think about like who's really going to be what's one of the most overly used units in Necrons? Warriors. Warriors have amazing weapons that will be benefited from this.
Mm-hmm. If you're not trying to stand them on objectives to get bonuses. But anyways, you might
need those. You might need that advance roll to get to the objective stand on and still shoot.
Yeah. So we got Memphret, Solar Fury. Each time a model with this code shoots an enemy unit that was within half range, they add a +1 to their armor penetration characteristic. So if it's dash, it becomes 1. If it's 1, it becomes 2.
Oh, so they upgrade their AP. That's sick.
Yeah,
we don't see that very often.
Gauss is already neg 1.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
And that's for everybody or only when they're within half range?
Each time a model with this code shoots within half range.
So heavy weapon doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. As long as
you know where I like this the most at, Haspil? You know where I'm about to say? We're talking about them, night sights.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving around hauling ass anyway. Now they
can be right next to shit.
Now their shots at 12 inches are strength 7 -1.
Yeah.
With 6s or extra hits.
3 hits instead of 1. Yeah.
Or 3.
Yeah, annihilation barges will do the same thing.
Yeah, annihilation barges.
They are competing with other slots.
But the reason they're better on sights is because sights are going to get to that half range way quicker.
Yeah, 20 to 60 inches, turn 1.
I just don't like flyers in 8th. So I'm biased, not against night sides in particular, but
just
against
all flyers.
All flyers.
Okay.
So Testosaur barge is 187 with heavy Gauss. No, yeah. Annihilation barge 187.
Yeah, so that's a lot more expensive than
that's 27 points more than a night size.
Remember the one that used to be buy one get one free practically? They were like 90 points back in the day.
Yeah, they were very cheap. Yeah, now I don't know. I'm not going to say anything.
Next up is Novak. We'll go with Novak, drawn from my Law and Order here. Reroll failed hit rolls in the fight phase for units if they were charged, or performed a heroic intervention. Who does that sound like?
Is that some flayed one shit? Like, what is this?
Yeah, flayed ones, wraiths. What are the other guys called? The Lich Guard.
Yeah.
I mean, wraiths are solid right now. So yeah, if you have a leftover wraith spam army, that's a go-to.
Nihilak. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for units with this code whenever they shoot, including Overwatch if they did not move in the preceding movement phase and they did not disembark from a transport.
Yep. I mean, it could be more useful, but that is a useful one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the army I play, and let me tell you, some of my opponents are not going to be happy about that. That's angry.
Nefrect. We'll just call him the Wrecked. Wrecked Dynasty.
The Wrecked Dynasty.
Wrecked Dynasty. If a unit with this code advances, add 6 inch to its move characteristic instead of rolling the dice. If the unit is being affected by My Will Be Done or Wave the Command, which is off the barge, add 7 inches because everything they roll for is +1.
+1.
When you roll dice.
So obviously there's some play there for certain builds.
But it gets better though. In addition, if a unit with this code advances, its models can move across models and terrain as if it were not there.
Like they're like, oh, cool. They got that Wraith Flight thing going on.
Yeah, Wraith Flight.
Are you not seeing like a small battalion or something like that with every army with this dipped in? Where you're like, I'm just going to keep a pocket 3 10-man units and 2 HQs or whatever minimal units it is to like reach out and go places.
Suck it, Bubbles.
Yep.
So that was a dynasty. So let's talk about stratagems real quick. I think the first one to talk about the most is 2 command points, enhanced reanimation protocols. Use this stratagem before making your normal reanimation roll for a unit in your army. You can re-roll protocol rolls of 1 for that unit this turn. So normally it's 5. You could re-roll 1s.
So I know what's coming up, so that's solid. But it's trash for 2.
For 2 command points, I don't like it. I don't like really 1s on 5.
Here's the thing though, is if you're worth a damn, you're gonna be running a Cryptek. So they come back on 4s. And then if you are playing it smart, you got a Ghost Arc in range, so they get to do it again.
Yep. And that's what we meant. Yeah, that's what we meant by
it's not something you're gonna do all the time for 2, but it's like for that clutch part of the game where you're like, these guys can't go away. You're going to wind up spending 4 because you're going to get your butt handed to you in shooting phase. Or
you're going to auto pass morale.
You're going to auto pass morale. Then you're going to cast this thing, and then you're going to bring your entire.
And that's why I don't think it's very useful because I'm like, you're going to have to spend those 2 CPs just to not fucking lose morale when you're in that clutch zone. So like, you already have enough redundancy built in that it's fine. So like, if you have a guy left and you're getting it on 4s or rerolls, you're getting most of your guys back. So
true.
I think at 1 command point it'd be too cheap in that instance, but it's worth talking about real quick. Emergency invasion beam. That's the one if your monolith or your night scythe blows up and you have dudes in reserve on the Tomb World, you get to bring them in real quick. So it's kind of worth having a pocket command point if shit's starting.
Wait, is that like a reinforcements point situation?
No, like, so you can set up, you can say, hey, this warriors is on the Tomb World to be deployed from the night scythe or the monolith. But if those are destroyed, then your guys don't come.
Real quick, is there a warlord trait that gives you fearless in this army?
So you automatically pass morale checks within 6 inches, and you get to try to deny psychic ability.
Oh, so yeah, that's the best.
So there you go.
Never mind.
We're gonna definitely talk about that.
So that's the best warlord trait, and now I'm back into like in the reanimation protocol thing.
So there's the invasion beam thing, and then the enhanced invasion beam where you get to bring in 2 squads instead of just 1. So imagine 2 squads popping out of a night scythe, and then maybe you could advance them Wraith Flight through a bubble or something.
And now this is used even if your flyer is destroyed. Is that right?
The emergency invasion, yeah, that's solid. That's like if you're running a flyer and you're running a unit there, you always have to keep 1 CP. You just have to bring it within 3 inches of a night scythe and more than 1 inch from an enemy model. So it's pretty clutch. Resurrection protocols allows you to bring back a Necron character from your army, excluding Trazen the Infinite or Satan. If they're slain, roll a d6 on a 4 up, set that character up again. Within, as close to his previous position, more than 1 inch away from enemy models with 1 wound remaining.
So this is not a reanimation protocol, or it is?
No, it's called resurrection.
Okay, protocol. So no reroll stacks. So you can't stack all those other things with it.
No, but how much is that?
1. That's cheap. So I want to talk about verbiage real quick because we dove deep into this subject because of how Adepticon rules things and how the current verbiage is in 8th edition. Robbie B, does that say on the roll of a 4 up, you create a new unit?
You set that character up again.
Kenny, did you hear that? You set that unit up, or you set that model up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of these abilities are coming out there, resource management abilities stacking with, you know, because remember, it's weird because it says we had this big argument where it was like where I believe it says it's like unless specifically stated, you have to pay reinforcement points for these things. Right. And that was like one of the big arguments we had in the hotel room that weekend. A really good argument.
Yeah. No, it was an amazing argument. Like I loved it. Like that's how you hash stuff up. But I thought it was how the verbiage says is anytime a new unit is created, unless otherwise stated, you have to create this.
And this is not this doesn't say a new unit. It says you set up again.
On a 4+, set the character up again as close as possible to the previous position. It doesn't say you create a new unit character.
Right.
Don't play this unit. Like I almost read that. Now again, probably for 1 CP, the intent that seems pretty cheap.
Well, I mean,
that's just basically like if somebody got you. You know what I mean? You didn't see it coming. The Blood Angel dude just dropped out of the sky and owned your HQ, and you're like, man, I needed that guy. That's what this is for. It's to bring him back with 1 wound.
And it does caveat to say that you cannot resurrect the same model more than once. So, no, I don't believe that you're going to have to pay points for this because it's not a full model.
Neither do I.
It's not anything else.
Well, it's like Tide of Traders. Tide of Traders.
It's Gilliman.
It never.
He's back up.
Exactly. It's a Gilliman ability. So
I think this is sick. This will be attempted. Yeah, this will be attempted almost every game. I love that they gave this.
Yeah, and I also feel like the differentiator between like needing reinforcement points to bring something back is say you had your entire army on the table and you were able to create a new unit and put them on the table without losing anything.
To your whole army. I see.
That's when you need reinforcement points. But this stratagem doesn't work unless that guy's already dead.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing to touch on that I thought was pretty cool was repair subroutines is where you can give a canoptic keyword unit the reanimation protocols. Yeah. Remember, it doesn't matter if they lost models up to that point, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, when you play this, as long as they did not flee from the battlefield, you get to roll for them suckers coming back now.
Yeah. So that's exactly, people would have to take the canoptic harvest,
back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day where you would take 3 units of Wraiths and a Spider, that was that formation. So now I immediately read that and was like, oh, cool. Warp Spiders, Wraiths are back to getting
Scarabs.
The reanimation protocol. Nice. The downfall, though, for everybody who has 18, 3 squads of 3, multiple stratagems cannot be used in the same phase. You will not be able to be like, oh, I want to give this all 3 of my units.
Yeah, you'd have to string it out like over the turns. Another cool thing, if you guys remember the old Necron skirmish army from the 90s where the Scarabs used to blow up into the strength 10 ordnance template, they kind of have that again. It's a 1 command point self-destruction stratagem that a single canoptic Scarab swarm can detonate on an enemy unit within 1 inch. Your swarm model is destroyed, remove it, and on a D6 of 2 up, the enemy unit you pick suffers D3 mortal wounds.
That's
sounds like Necrons.
That's my man.
Learning from NIDS.
That is my man right there.
1 command point.
Are you kidding me? I'm gonna immediately pair this with that double move advance army. Mm-hmm. Like I'm gonna have a whatever that
auto 6.
Yeah, the auto 6 advance. So I'm going to pair this with a unit that's literally is the same strategy that I'm using with Metabolic Overdrive and my Meotic or Mucoloids.
They move 10, so it'd be 16-inch movement.
Wow.
Get up in their grill and blow up, use some mortal wounds.
I love
fly already.
I love anything that gives me pocket D3 mortal wounds, and pair that with Satans. And for anybody who doesn't know, that chart that they have that just gets to cast literally is full of mortal wound shit. So.
Yeah, we're about to get to that here in a second. So this is a neat little combo. The Pharaoh's Will. Use a stratagem for an overlord from your army that has used their My Will Be Done or Wave of Command ability. That model can immediately use that ability for a second time this turn. That's where they pick a unit within 6 inches to get +1 to advance, charge, and hit rolls for that turn.
Necrons are really good at hitting on 2s or bypassing -1 to hits. So now you can do that with multiple units in a turn. So now like 2 big blocks of guys hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, or shooting against Alpha Legion people on 3s, rerolling 1s, or Altok, like all that shit. That's a good one.
And Imhotep, the G, maybe the biggest G in the book here, can do that twice already. Now he could do it 4 times.
What?
So his troops are straight gangsters.
They do what they will.
Yeah, they're getting it done. So that's a nifty little combo.
Imhotep.
Let's see, what's some other cool stuff? Was that the one? Oh yeah, the Nilak stratagem. Select a Nilak from your unit from your army. If it's within 3 inches of an objective marker and did not move for any reason, then till start of your next turn, add 1 to saving throws made for that unit and increase the attack characteristic by 1 as well.
I kind of like that.
Just silly. it's 2 command points. It's just silly.
I am 100% with this.
Now a little pocket thing to talk about: Cosmic Powers. It's a Necron stratagem. You get to select a Catan shard. That model can replace one of its powers with a different power of the Catan of your choice. And here's why. We were talking about the chart. It's a D6 chart. You can either just roll and generate them randomly where you can duplicate it before the game starts. Each Catan gets 2. The vault gets 4. So do the math on that. Once you get all 6, you can then have duplicates. You can also choose them before the game. So you can just be like, all right, well, let's just go down the list, 1 of each. And I've got 7 powers to pick from, so I'm going to pick my second. So I'm going to get 2 of the dopest, and the rest just fill in the blanks, whatever. Now you can switch up, and you can have 3 of the same power. These powers, this is the key here, and we're not going to get down into it because you can read the chart for yourself. These powers are done during the movement phase, and what's significant about that is you get to dictate who you target with these powers. You can snipe out characters, except for the number 6. It specifically says you can't snipe out characters. But everything else in here, you pretty much get to dictate where the power goes. It's hugely, enormously powerful. And the fact that you can get 3 of the same one, it will cost you like 900 points if you want to do this trick. But these guys are characters. They're easy to hide.
I'm with them.
I think their stat line's pretty solid.
I basically build most of my lists of saying 1,000 points is big shit that I really like to play with, and 1,000 points are HQs that buff my stuff and filler units. So I'm going to use that whenever I'm building a list. I've already decided that Tesseract Vault, 496 points, every one of my lists.
Man,
I'm building a 1,200 point list. I really now only have 703 points to deal with.
Because you get what? You get 20 shots with each of the orbs, right?
Yes.
And each roll of a 6 gets 3 shots. So you're going to do that 3 times. It hits on 3s, but wait, it's Dynasty. So are the Catans. So they're getting pluses to their hits. Whatever from all this stuff.
The one major thing I love too is it's got 28 wounds. It knows 4 of the spells that are on that chart. Do you want to talk about those too? Yeah, dude, those powers are literally.
I mean, we still got warlord traits and.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think just look at it. It's good. But
can you tell me real quick? And I'm spacing because my brain's short circuiting here. Can you tell me if that Tesseract Vault has the shielding?
It has
4 up and vulnerable. Absolutely.
It has a 4 up and vulnerable. It has living metal, so it's going to get it one wound back every turn. It knows 4 powers, and it blows up on a 4 up. 2d6 suffers d6 mortal wounds. Ballistic skill is 3 up to 14 wounds.
But it doesn't have the quantum shielding though.
It does not. No.
Okay, so you can kill it.
You can kill it. You can.
No, but it has like 28 wounds. But just like
28 wounds with a 4 invulnerable though. I mean, like
no. But I was like, if it had the quantum shielding, it's invulnerable. It's not going to die ever. But so I feel like they balanced that out.
Yeah, no, they did a good job with that. I feel like. What's the other thing in here that I feel like we didn't really talk about powers, but read that chart. They're all pretty decent. A lot of D3s, a lot of D6 mortals. What was the one?
Yeah, we can't go over every power in one episode, obviously, especially our giant edition. So obviously we will be covering this more in the future. Every warlord trait, every relic, everything. Today is more about stratagems, you know.
We could do a follow-up next week. We'll have probably more ideas about craziness. What was it? What was that one? Oh, the warlord trait we need to talk about is the deny psychics. Immortal Pride. Friendly dynasty units automatically pass morale checks while they are 6 inches of your warlord. In addition, your warlord can attempt to deny 1 psychic power in the same manner as a psyker. Just freezies. It's warlord trait. I feel like that's pretty good. And the warlord trait that's keyed to the Sawtek dynasty. Once per battle, you can reroll a single hit, wound, roll, or damage roll made for your warlord. In addition, if your army is battle forged and your warlord's on the battlefield, roll a d6 each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem. On a 5-up, you get that command point refunded.
Yo, we're getting some sweet CP farming stratagems. I mean, Thousand Suns got one of those too, so like they're throwing those out there. Love it.
There's also a Nihilak keyed relic that allows you to feel no pain on a 5-up. It's pretty.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, too, isn't that saying that it's for every command point that you use or every stratagem?
No, every command point.
Yeah, so Thousand Suns ain't got shit on this, homie.
No, Thousand Suns are garbage.
Yeah, we're talking about this is grand strategist level. Like we will see, every 3-point stratagem you get, now you get it back on, and Astra Militarum is the only one who's had this. Like that's amazing, Necron players. Everybody is drooling over trying to win that lottery.
The one artifact I think we should also talk about is the one where your safe characteristic is improved by 1. In addition, enemy units subtract 1 from their leadership while they are within 6 of the bearer of the Nightmare Shroud.
Seems like it's pretty easy to get a 2-up invulnerable in this book.
Oh, and the Supplemental Weave. Increased toughness and wounds characteristic of the bearer by 1 for infantry models. We talked about that earlier. Destroyers are infantry.
Toughness 7 destroyer lords.
Yep.
Seems good.
So those are, I think those are.
That's cool because literally that is unlike other shit that in any other books. Like GW is still constantly giving us new stuff compared to back to back to back to back. Everybody gets the same thing. Reroll a charge distance, reroll this. Like, I'm digging that. I wish my Nids had. I wish my Nids had a relic that said +1 toughness. For
I'm actually pretty happy with this. I mean, with these, like, let me put it this way: like these rolls, you can win a lot of games that like in a Adepticon format with these. Yeah. Like in a denial based format where you have to be, balance progressive objectives and a game of objectives and vastly not give up kill points while sniping out kill points. In a championship format, this army absolutely is good. Obviously, in maybe an ITC format, I'd have to think about it a little bit more deep where you have to kill something every turn, try to kill more things than your opponent killed every turn. Well, this army will do that because of defense pretty well. So it's got a little advantage there. Some of its units that you rely on might give up, Headhunter and Big Game Hunter pretty easily. So definitely it's going to give up a few. And a lot of Necron units are 10 models, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of your biggest units that you're trying to spam these shots with. So there's a lot.
5 to 20.
I run 20.
Yeah. So you're going to be
20.
So yeah, this is much weaker in an ITC format because you're giving up Reaver. You're giving up probably Big Game Hunter, possibly giving up Headhunter because you have so many characters. So like it's definitely, could be like, kind of like what you said earlier, Haspil. It could be there to be a solid road bump in an ITC format, but I absolutely think that it can crush it in a more traditional progressive style mission objectives,
Yeah, we didn't even really touch on a lot of stuff out there, like the Ghost Arc. I know Haspil wanted to talk about Ghost Arcs.
I just like them, but I mean, I've only seen maybe 2 other people that run a Necron list like I do. I mean, I have like 80 warriors, so. And believe me,
that's a beautiful Adepticon list.
Going anywhere?
Yeah, no, I'm
not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's basically cultist shit. I mean, that's like
that's my list that I call. I'm not winning, but neither are you.
Let's go drink together.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I like all that. The lords or the overlords are basically your guys giving out the +1 to hit bubbles. Your overlords are +1 to hit bubbles. Your normal lords are your 1 to wound bubbles, and then you've got everything else in between that really is resilient and has a solid role. And it just seems very well rounded. Like anybody can pick up this army and just do well with it.
Do pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, and again, like I like the fact that they stay true to what Necrons do. Just like Haspil said, I don't die. So what do? All your stratagems and special abilities are talking about giving reanimation to units that don't have it, pluses to reanimation protocols, rerolls to protocols, giving yourself saves if you're within here, saves to your characters. Like, I'm with this. Oh, and the other one, the Lich Guard one, where it's Lich Guard have a 3 of invulnerable in any in the shooting phase, and any straight roll of a 6 does a mortal wound back to the unit that shot them.
Yep, sure. You're even improving their save.
Yo, do you know how sad people would be when they're like, yo, I just shot you with, my Hive Tyrant just shoots 24 strength 6 shots at Lich Guard, and I only get 3 wounds or 5 wounds through because they got a 3 of invulnerable, and literally all of a sudden I have to take, but he pocket rolls 4 6s. Now my Hive Tyrant's got to take 4, feel no pain saves. Most of the time the random 1-off-1 probably won't be him, so he's just gonna take 4 mortal wounds.
Yep,
that's not a good trade for me in my mind. Keep your Lich Guard.
Yeah, keep him. I don't
want them. Give me my wounds back.
There's even some combos with the destroyers where you're already getting +1 ballistic skill because it's hardwired in, but there's a stratagem where you get to reroll all failed to hits and all failed to wounds. And remember, you could take the one dynastic code to where at half range, and these guys fly and they have pretty good movement, that you're -1 to your AP, so you're getting an additional AP.
Now you're -2 now for a lot of their weapons. Sick. No,
there's some play. There's a lot of finite
aggro
Necron lists. Hashtag.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's fun. It looks good.
Seems amazing, guys. Well, we got about an hour of interviews now to cover, so I feel like possibly calling it right here. And
let's do it.
And jumping into it, about to hear from Dave Quirk, Nick Navati, Jason Craze, and Chris and Jason at Adepticon. All right, guys, I'm joined tonight by the legendary Dave Quirk over at Mini War Game. You guys might recognize this guy because he has the freshest haircut. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Oh, busy. We just got back from a little convention. I always forget the name. What was the name of that thing we just did?
Adepticon, I think.
Sounds familiar. Adepticon? 16-year anniversary, maybe?
Sounds about right. Tiny little con out in Chicago.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, so I heard you brought the Orcs. We worked together at LVO. We got to play together and worked out kind of a fun little trade where I'll give you a Death Dread so that the Watain clan could ride again.
Yeah, man. And it is a gorgeous Death Dread. Now, the thing is, when we were planning on doing that and going for orcs and everything like that, I got back to the studio and I'm like, all right, what do I have for orcs? I got boys. I got nothing but boys. I was like, all right, I'll try and make this work. So, but as soon as you gave me that absolutely gorgeous Death Dread, as soon as it lands on the table, everybody's like, I don't know what it is, but it's pretty and it needs to die.
Oh, Distraction Dreadnought. Got it.
Yeah.
So obviously the Watain clan went 4-0. You top 16'd it and you won all Adepticon, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. No, overall score is pretty much reversed that. I went 0-4. I figured I would because the army I took wasn't very competitive. It was more fun, friendly. I wanted to hang out with people, talk, have a good time, and basically everybody I played was absolutely awesome. So no complaints there. Yeah,
that's the good thing about Adepticon. It's just typically you meet a different class of people out there. People. There's a lot of hobby that even when they're dick stomping out there, a lot of hobby.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is tight. And with the works, if you're playing an unoptimized army already in it, yeah, your writing's on the wall. You're like, yo, I ain't coming here to win this thing. I'm coming here to move some beautiful orcs around the table and meet people.
Yeah, pretty much. One of the things I thought was kind of funny was that every time somebody saw my list, they're like, what are you running? I was like, about 120 orc boys, a couple cannons, an absolutely gorgeous Death Dread, and then a little bit of support everywhere. And everyone looked at me and goes, you only got 2.5 hours to play these rounds, right? I'm like, I'll be all right. and I was terrified I was going to get called out for slow playing. I don't think any game I played went longer than an hour and a half.
Before you're like, don't worry, I'll be out of models before 2 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. I never got tabled, but no, we actually, every game I played, we finished a full 6 rounds in about an hour and a half. So it was pretty surprising.
Yeah, no, yeah, it makes me happy to hear that just tells you that you can move 150 models around in that amount of time as long as you're proactive with your opponent.
Yep. Yeah. So no, that was a lot of fun. The 4 games that I played, it was I was so excited because it was first person I played against was Slanesh, and just Demons of Slanesh, and just came in, landed right in my face, deep struck, made all his charges, wiped out all my lines. I was like, that was impressive. I did not even realize that Slanesh could be that aggressive right off the bat, but it happened. Then the next game I played was up against a Tzeentch player. I was like, am I gonna get to play like all 4 Chaos Gods at this rate? So Tzeentch player brought Magnus. I'm like, I don't even care if I lose. My goal is to kill Magnus. Managed to pull that off on turn 3, but I pretty much sacrificed all the objectives to do that, which I figured I was going to. Then turn 3 parents came up, and it was up against Death Guard and Nurgle. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go against all 4 Chaos Gods here. It's gonna be amazing. And then Death Guard, he brought Magnus and Mortarion and Rotigus, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So again, it was awesome because it's 3 armies that I know how to play fairly well. So again, after going 0-1 on the first round, everybody was playing was a little bit rusty. They had some problems with their army, made a little bit of mistakes here, but it was kind of fun to kind of coach through a few little tricks I wasn't even sure if they knew their army could do. And essentially, it was just walking people through how to beat my army. So I was like, here's what you got to do if you want to get max points. If you want to do like something crazy, you want me to try and blow this up, you go right ahead. Like the 3rd game against the Death Guard player, he had a bunch of blow drones like flying around. Like, dude, I will buy you a drink if you fly that into my lines right now. Let me kill it, and you pay the command point to blow up, because that's gonna be hilarious. And he did it, so it was kind of sweet. That's
what I'm talking about. Did you film a bunch of these games?
I got two of the 4 games filmed. The 3rd game we had a mix up with the BCP app. So the table I was supposed to go to ended up having somebody already at it playing, and it took them a solid like half hour to figure it all out, get it all sorted, and then by that point in time, I'm like, I don't have time to.
Yeah, because the whole filming process also bites into the game time. So you're like, I can't disrespect my opponent that way.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is usually whenever I had to film anything, I tell people, I will film at the best time when you're moving your models, when you're doing your thing where you don't have to interact with me very much is when I'm going to be filming. But even then, against the Death Guard player, like his movement phase has a little bit of interaction with me because he's moving around, he's landing at stuff. We had to like double check distances and things like that. Summoning in things, I'm like, all right, no, I can't shortchange him by saying, give me 5 minutes to film this. Will you stand there and wait for me?
Yeah, no doubt. Tournament protocol. Fully in effect, classy.
Yeah, 100%. And then by the 4th game, I didn't get to play against Khorne. I was a little bit upset about that one. I played it against a Custody Imperial Guard player, and that was about the time the cold fully kicked in.
So how did a Custodes Imperial Guard army go 0-3?
Oh, he brought a Land Raider. I think was one of the big things right there.
Fair point. Like I was like, in my mind, I just automatically assumed he had 10 bikes, 3 shield captains, and Akuras, Quillis, and Grand Strategist.
Yeah, no, honestly, he again, awesome dude, super fun to play. But I think he was brand new to Custodes because he's like, all right, I'm going to take the Eagle's Eye on my jet bike, on my shield guard captain on Dawn Guard. I'm like, why don't you just take the one that gives you the rerolling charges? You still get the 3-up invuln, and you can reroll your charges. Like, oh no, that's cool. I'm just going to take the 3-up invuln and not worry about it. I'm like, you're forfeiting a free rerollable charge. For no cost.
Like 15 free command points. That's cool.
I was like, all right, you know what? That doesn't bother me whatsoever. If you want to play it the way you want to play it, but like, yeah, I think he was new to the army. He was just there to have fun like me, and we had an absolute blast playing. But that's about the same time the cold started to hit me real hard. I'm like, yeah, I can't film this. I can barely lift my arms. So, and like the cameras we use are a solid like 8 pounds. So carrying that around all day, plus your army, plus moving everything, it's a little strenuous.
Yes, I can see that, no doubt. So, but you did get 2 of these games up. When are you guys going to drop those over at Mini Wargaming?
Probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because what I do is, So what we've been doing is we're trying to cover the tournament scene. We're trying to get into it a little bit more. And I do a show called The Breakdown, where I essentially take my list, break it down to individual units, go over what they do, how they synergize together as an army, and what they actually do on the board. And then for our Vault members, they actually get to see the battle report as it was played in the tournaments. So, for example, like you and I at the LVO, we played, and I got to film a little bit of that. Now, unfortunately, a lot of that footage was unusable because I tried to record the audio with it as well. And just the background noise on that completely drowned me out. So I learned my lesson from that one. But what I'm going to be doing is I essentially take my opponent's list and do a full breakdown of that, explaining, what they brought, how it works in the game, what synergizes with what, relics, stratagems, things that they want to really optimize with, kind of like how you did at LVO with the obliterators, and then using the Slanesh stratagem to let you fire twice, and also having the Lord nearby to let you reroll the ones to hit, and just how basically it's how everything kind of stacks together.
Yes,
doing a breakdown on it, and then going ahead and showing the Vault members the actual battle report itself and how the game went down, and doing a breakdown of the actual turns, the decisions we made, how everything kind of took place there. So it takes a little while. Yeah, it's fun, but the thing is, it takes a little while to film afterwards because I essentially got to round up the models, get the list again, try and go through the footage and make sure everything.
Oh yeah, those properly. Are the most difficult, the most man hours, right? That's the one that takes a while to scoop up. It's anytime you're doing something in the genre of inside the mind of a tournament player.
Yeah,
that's a long man hour session.
So, but yeah, that's probably be dropping the first battle, which would be my orcs against Slanesh within the next week or two. It won't be coming out. We usually release them on Saturdays. It won't be coming out this Saturday because we just got back. We got a holiday coming up, Good Friday and everything. So I got very few actual working hours, but by about next week, I think I have a couple of days to work on that and get it out. So
100%, man. I cannot wait to see that, man, because y'all been hyping up this orc. I want to see this orc do something. I want to see, even if he just is a distraction element. Can't wait to see the Wadtang clan, at least, because I never got to put him on the table.
I know. I felt bad about that because the first time I put him on the table, the first thing that comes at me is the Forge World Slanesh demon, and just completely ripped it apart. I'm like, you know what? You took the time to go after that. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to throw a bunch of orcs at you, and they don't do a whole lot against the 4-up inbound. So, but he actually went toe to toe for 2 rounds with Mortarion, which was kind of awesome.
Good old Death Dread doing his thug life. I think we named him on the Twitch stream.
Oh yeah,
maybe he was I can't remember. We had so many Wu-Tang Clan names. We had Inspector Mech, Raekwon, old Rusty Bastard. We had a lot of good names, and I know that the viewer base gave him an affectionate name. I had to go back in the archive.
Right on. As soon as you figure out whatever it was, man, I'll put a nice little plaque with him, and every time he's in a battle report, I will call him out by name. Granted, it's appropriate for younger audiences.
PG, I don't want to be calling him got it.
Yeah, make sure it's PG.
No doubt, man. That's mini war game Quirk, main man Dave Quirk. When's the next time somebody's gonna be able to find you? States, where are you gonna be at?
So the next event we're going to be going to, we have it planned out. We're going to the Nova Open. And this is, so one of the things was for the Adepticon, I left it open to essentially our Facebook viewers. I said, guys, what do you want me to play? Here's all the armies, pick one for me, and I will build a list and play it to the best of my abilities. And I thought, people are going to be a little bit considerate and think, something that at least got a codex. No, orcs won by a landslide.
They will say orcs. They will always do that to you.
They will always do orcs. I was like, all right, you know what? This time going to Nova, I'm gonna build up a good list for it, and I've got a little secret-ish project that I've been working on. But drop a hint here, there's a lot of gold, so everybody can figure that one out nice and quick.
I have no idea. No idea. Well, that's about all the time we have tonight with my main man Dave Quirk. Now that's obviously miniwargaming.com. These guys are legendary. Amazing YouTube channel, amazing membership page. Definitely check these guys out. Dave, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure.
All right, guys, joined tonight by the one and only Nick Navati, a.k.a. Nick Brown, the Magic Man. Now you see him, now you don't. What's up, brother?
How you doing, Kenny?
We just got back from a tournament. Some people may have heard of it. I heard it was called Adepticon. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I actually heard it was Adepticon, but I don't know if that's real or not.
I think you're right, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So Adepticon 2018, Nick Navati, Obviously, no stranger to winning. We just interviewed him because he's the LVO champ, 2018. Our current reigning champ, I guess. And he is, in my opinion, one of the greatest 40K players we've ever had. And is almost for half a decade, practically, he's been the only champion I've ever known at Adepticon. And that changed this year. What happened?
True. Man? Well, I mean, it's a different game. I tried. I got second. It's definitely not bad. Matt Root played really well. A couple things went his way. He seized on me. That's never fun.
Nope.
Then Armand perils twice and killed himself. That wasn't good either. But
that's bad.
No, I mean, I definitely played a really good game. So did Matt, obviously. It wasn't just dice. I don't want to sell it like that. Like, Matt played a really strong, solid tactical game. Very sporting, like, too. Very opposite to my Tony finals at LVO. Both of us were all take backsies back and forth, intent all day, all the way. One of my favorite games I've ever played, honestly, especially for such a high-level competition game. So Matt definitely earned that win. And, I had to give it to him a little bit. Like, 4 Adepticons is enough. I can't just steal 5.
Right, but it's like you said too, like, you had a couple things that didn't go right for you, but only attack. But you have to be good at the game in order to put yourself in a position to capitalize a dice going south, right? So
absolutely. So, like, Matt knew, like, going into the game, he was the underdog, just because, like, the way our list matched up in that mission, he was so far down before the game even started. Like, he needed to pull miracles out of his butt. So he put all his stuff on the line, right? Like, so if I had gone first, I would have killed like 2.5 fires turn 1 and gotten total board control, and that would have been a world of shit. But if he deployed conservatively and tried to play the long game, he still would have eventually lost. So he went for the first turn gamble, and it paid off because he seized. And then he was able to capitalize on all those misfortunate things that happened on me. Which, it sounds like luck's making him win, but really it was like more of a calculated risk than anything else.
Yeah, it was him going to the game ahead of time with a formulated plan.
He knew that was his best shot was winning. Yeah, absolutely.
And during any game of 40K, there are going to be moments where the dice betray both people. Mm-hmm. And he put himself in situations to capitalize on that, knowing that would be his own chance. So he played up. Yeah. He put his balls on the table.
Yeah, it's like if you guys play sports at all, it's like if you're the down team, you're going to play the risky plays because you need some miracles to happen for you to win. It's just like that. And stars align for him.
He pulled it out, and so it's incredible. So, like, obviously, the top 16 lists have been on the internet for a little while. We kind of are seeing a trend, right? And I don't want to like tell people like, oh, this is the new trend of 40K, because there's a lot of different elements at Adepticon versus like LVO, right? So that all these Eldar armies were in the top 8 at LVO, but Eldar wasn't like the most popular army at LVO. He was just like the most popular army amongst the people trying to win LVO.
Right.
And so why is the meta so different at Adepticon, LVO? Give me that Magic Man breakdown.
That's what I'm here for. So there's a couple reasons why, honestly. One, the missions are super different. Adepticon is very much based around the idea of OBSEC and progressive scoring and also endgame scoring. So there's kind of a mix there, and has much less emphasis on killing something. In the ITC championship missions that LVO used, you had to kill a unit every turn to get a point, and if you killed more units than your opponent every turn, you'd get more points. Adepticon has none of that. So Adepticon, you didn't have to kill anything to win. You just had to hold objectives better.
They gave you a more open-ended, everything's worth a point, roughly at around the 100-point level. So you're being rewarded, kind of at the end, but I found myself not really tracking it as the game went, just like as a bonus,
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a huge factor. Like the LVO, you have to be active, and a lot of games were decided, honestly, within the first few turns at LVO. At Adepticon, almost all of my games went to the end. I finished 6 out of my 8 games totally naturally, and all of my games went at least to turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. LVO, I had opponents conceding turn 2, turn 3, because once you start to really pull out in those missions, you're just running away with it.
Well, it's also especially being a true win-loss form, whereas Adepticon has a win-loss feel, like if you crush them, but outside of that, you can still get points.
Absolutely. So I think that's one of the major things. Another thing, which I think contributes to different types of armies, is the terrain. At LVO, if you watch frontline streaming and things like that, you know that they have huge line of sight blockers and huge ruins that you can hide infantry, you can hide tanks, and you can do all that kind of stuff.
Terrain is a big difference for sure.
It's huge. Terrain Adepticon is essentially still stuck in 5th edition, so just tons of area, not too many line of sight blockers, a lot of stuff that honestly doesn't really impact 8th edition gameplay. So like if you'll see some of my games on the top levels, like the finals, the semifinals, those kinds of games, we just essentially took the terrain off the table. So it was just easier to physically place models down, because trying to put your guys on a hill that doesn't have any impact on the game.
Agreed. Terrain has no impact on the game practically if it's not blocked.
Exactly. So that's one of my gripes with Adepticon is their lack of updated terrain, but I totally understand that you can't update terrain.
It's difficult because they have like, tables. A billion tables worth of very beautifully produced custom terrain,
Yeah, it's not, you can't just remove all that overnight. I just wish, a little bit of progress every year. Because this has been an issue since 5th edition. Like, that's terrain built for 5th. So I wish they took some steps to correct that. But aside from that, it's just one of those things you have to know going in. And there's tons of people who've been to Adepticon tons of times. You can ask them what the terrain's going to be like. They'll all tell you it's just a bunch of 5th edition aerial line of sight terrain. Which was
great 5th edition because cover saves were invulnerable saves.
Yeah, exactly. It's much less meaningful now. Especially now that there's not even difficult terrain, or you're barely even slowed by charges.
No, it's just in the way.
It's just in the way. It literally just makes placing models more difficult.
Yeah, that's 100%. So like with LVO and the secondaries too, just to add to your original, the ITC's secondaries are all basically killy and movie, right? Like and they're worth a lot. Where I noticed that like Adepticons were a little bit more tricky to grab. But,
Adepticon has some of the hardest secondaries I've seen in a while, probably ever for GT. ITCs had very specific ones, like the Reaper. If you kill 10-man units, you get bonus points. So everyone was fancy and they thought clever, and they were taking 9-mans. Adepticon has none of that. Adepticon just like kill 3 into the shooting phase, kill 3 into the assault.
And all the ones that you're like, I can get are like, can't do it turn 1, son.
Exactly. If you build an Alpha Strike army to capitalize on that turn 1, guess what? You didn't score it. Or like other ones were like, have your Warlord hold an objective in the middle of the board. And it's like, okay, what if I have a Warlord that's a guard commander who doesn't want anything to do with the center of the board? That sucks for me. And likewise, it's like, if my Warlord has to hold objective at the end of the game, then like, what if he just dies?
But I think it played too vastly the denial style, objective style.
Exactly. I wasn't making lists to actively go out and try to take secondaries from my opponents. I was making lists that made it really hard to take secondaries from me. Exactly. Like if you look at my list, exactly, I had like 40-man cultist blobs that come back with tided traders. I had like this Poxwalker squad that got enormous inside. And then I had like 1,100 points in characters. So if you look at that, it's like there's nowhere to get victory points off my list. And you're not going to kill 3 in the shooting phase.
And you have to actually, because you use Abaddon, so they actually have to kill like literally everybody.
Yeah, I'm fearless on everybody. So, you have to kill me to the man. There's no killing 30 and then letting it die.
Like everything is fearless, and you have characters buried in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it was beautifully
very much designed to break the format.
So with that denial style list, because I played a denial style list too. I had 140 cultists, I had 6 units of Nurglings, I had 5 flying demon princes hiding inside the middle with some obliterators coming out turn 3. Yeah. I was playing the same stuff. I lost a game to my man Dominic, the French Canadian gangster. But that guy's got laser brain. I can't deal with him.
Nice.
But I felt that the same thing. I looked at the missions immediate was like, yep, got to play some stuff that I don't give up points. Yeah. And my 3 wins were, big wins. They're 40, 40, and 38. And I was like, yeah, I won those because they didn't take anything from me.
Yeah, I walked out out of day 1 with 160 out of 160 points, 440s. And that's not because I went out there and I just tabled everyone. That's just because no one did anything to me.
Because they couldn't hurt you. And so now with that kind of understanding of the meta and like how a tournament at that level with that many top people like yourself there, just changing the priority a little bit, showed a couple things that a lot of people, including possibly GW, think are going to have to get changed. Now, so that's kind of like a micro beta test, but obviously there's 2 big things people are talking about right now. Why don't you break it down for these people?
So I think the 2 big things that everyone's looking at are Poxwalkers and Flyers, because that was the final table. So I think Poxwalkers, from what I've heard through the grapevine, were already on the chopping block. No one was happy about that being a thing. And I know for a lot of you guys, you weren't aware that Poxwalkers were a problem in competitive 40K. That's mostly because some guys didn't have time to get the models together, didn't feel comfortable playing that kind of army with the time constraints. For me personally, I was just there to win, as I do. And I'm not worried about time when making lists because I'm so proficient when I move models, and I've just been playing this game for 14 years. I know how to get this stuff done. As far as getting the models goes, I actually had a sponsorship at Adepticon, so the guy who was sponsoring me was gracious enough to lend me the models and supply me with them. So getting the models.
Give me a quick plug on that new sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sponsored by Knights at the Game Table. They are a game company that helps new players get into 40K, step out of like the realm of I play locally with my friends and I play with my family in my basement, and get into like game stores and actually play games against strangers and really step it in there. And they do this by they have a whole YouTube channel and a Facebook page and all that. And then from there, they want you to kind of take the next step into like tournament 40K, maybe go to some RTTs and stuff, and really just become a real member of the 40K community. And they're awesome. I know the founder, the CEO, Adam Lyons, he's a really cool guy. He put me up in his own house, which is like a 40K sanctuary, and treated me like royalty over there. He's just a really awesome guy, and he runs a great company. He's a marketing consultant for his other job, so he knows what he's talking about. He's a really great salesman. You guys should definitely check him out. And he's here to help you. He's one of the most genuine, nice people I've ever met.
That's great. Yeah, no, I've been seeing a lot of that stuff. I was stoked to hear that we as a community might be moving towards sort of the esports model.
Yeah, and this is like one of my dreams for 40K. Once we start to get it mainstream esporty, then we can start to get a real pro circuit going. And
that's what I want. Because right now the emphasis for so many years it has been like a lot of the community doesn't even know who's winning these games.
Exactly.
It's like, why? But now I believe this is the first step. 2018, I think it's going to start to change when we can get that feeling. And I think that just makes this thing grow so much more.
Exactly. And it's going to grow exponentially from there. That's what I'm trying to do with my website, The Brown Magic. I'm trying to help everyone get better too and make competitive 40K more mainstream just by helping the community get better at it. And the better.
Because as we've talked about before, the casuals, quote unquote, the hobbyists, quote unquote, the tournament players, quote unquote, we all have a lot more in common than we don't. That's the
exactly.
facts.
We all love 40K, like for each to our own for our reasons, but like let's all share this hobby.
We all should immediately be best friends.
Battle. Yeah, exactly.
So
totally agree.
But let's go back real quick. So what do you think is going to happen now? Okay, so what do you think the FAQ is going to be on Poxwalkers? How do you think they're going to solve it? What do you predict is the best solution? Do you think it needs a solution? And then tell me what you think they're going to do with Tyrant.
So I think one of the solutions I'd like to see imposed on Poxwalkers is I think they shouldn't be able to go above their starting size. Maybe right now their unit size is like 10 to 20. Maybe I could see even upping that to 30 just to like kind of let you get a giant zombie squad. But like what I was doing at Adepticon was I would have like 100+ minion of Poxwalkers. There were times where I would physically run out of models. I brought 110 Poxwalkers with me, and I would just trap them in close combat so they couldn't get shot. I have an article on that on my website if you guys want to check that out too, thebrownmagic.com. And then after I would trap them in close combat, they're zombies, they're not going to kill anything. I would spread everything out as far as possible to objectives. So I would have like 100 OBSEC zombies covering 4 objectives and make them unshootable. Like you just can't beat that. It's physically impossible. And you'll see, I did some live stream of Adepticon too. If you check out some of that, there's literally pictures of my army spread across 4 or 5 objectives surrounding like one character that just
like one single unit spread out.
Yeah, or like a rhino, something that's never going to kill, but who cares?
Do you remember? Do you remember that back in the day when in Faith? Remember you can cover multiple objectives per one unit, and then they took that away from us.
Yeah. It's quite back now. So that was basically the game strategy with the Poxwalkers, and the reason that was so possible and so strong was because I would have like 100-man plus unit that I got by killing off all my own cultists, or like other people would just have to kill my cultists to get to my characters and win the game.
But what were some of your tricks for killing your own cultists?
Oh, so I would charge them against Flyrants. This is one of my ones I did a lot. Or against the Playbear's Crawler army I played in the semifinals. I would take a 40-man Poxwalker unit and charge it into every single thing I could. Every single unit within 12 inches, I just declared a charge on. So you can choose to overwatch with your entire army and kill 10, 15 of them. Against the Playbear's Crawlers, he would have probably picked up most of my unit because they auto hit with flamers. But if you do that, you're just giving 30, 40 Poxwalkers. And then, in close combat, you cannot choose to not swing. You must swing. So it's like, all right, I'll just charge 40 cultists.
Basically, like, here's 40 cultists. You killed 30 of them. I tied the traitors. They're back. And now
Exactly.
I got all my
Exactly. I was suiciding my own models. If like I had opponents literally purposefully not take shooting phases, not charge anything. They're just sitting there and letting me run out of command points. Because all this stuff to grow poxwalkers to make unshootable, that costs a lot of command points. So their strategy is to just wait me out. So I realized this almost immediately if I see someone not shooting their models, that's fishy. So I have to get creative and start killing my own models for myself.
Nice. Sick. So that's an interesting. So with the Hive Tyrant, obviously the Hive Tyrant lists are, pretty crazy. It's kind of like back to the old days. What do you think is the solution? Do you think it needs to be a solution?
I think Hive Tyrants should really get the Tau Commander treatment, where it's like one per detachment. I think they're really cool. And they add a role to the Tyranid army, which is an important role. And on top of that, they are commanders. They're badass. They're flyers. They should be badass. But I don't see why there should be 10 of them. That's not real. But I could see like one per detachment, like commanders being like the leader of the army, being really good. That'd be cool. I don't think that 2 or 3 flyers is broken. It's when you spam them and you get like the target saturation that you just can't deal with.
And it looks when I think GW's motivation behind like the Tau Commander FAQ wasn't like in play or anything abusive. I think it was literally like, okay, you're playing it wrong. Like that's not like what we want. Because like even though
we want you to play a commander and leading your Tau force, we want you to play a flyer and leading your Tyranid army. Yeah. We don't want you to just run flyers and Tau commanders.
Right. So exactly. So like I believe that's the intent. So I believe that. But do you think that this is going to mark the trend of just them making a FAQ that's like, here's the list of all HQs that can per detachment?
I mean, honestly, that's the direction I want them to go in. I actually think that pretty much all FAQs should be, all HQs should be 0 to 1. I don't like it's cool to get the non-broken ones, right? Like whoever runs 2 captains, like cool, running 2 captains. No, that's not a problem. But like, why? Like, do you need to run 2 captains? Is that really hurting you to like not? Like, can we all just make an overbearing rule instead of a giant list of exceptions to that rule?
I think that I'm all about FAQs. I agree with you. It should just be easy to say all again HQs is 0 to 1.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can just say like Flyrants and Tau commanders and even princes and this and that.
And they give us a lot of HQs. You can just
say like no army has just got 1 HQ, No. And like even if you're like screwed, right? And you're like AdMech and you want to take your like little 50-man AdMech HQ just to buy yourself some cheap detachments. Like, I'm sorry that you're getting a little bit shafted by this overarching rules change, but is you being okay with your AdMech army being able to take 2 50-point tech priests? Is that better than allowing Flyrants and Tau commanders and all that to just run free?
Yeah, it also kind of fixes Supreme Command, because I've always had an issue with Supreme Command attachment.
Yeah, actually, there's a meme on the internet somewhere. I don't know if you saw it. It's like when GW thought of Supreme Command, they imagined it's a picture of the Avengers, like Hulk and Thor and all those. And then what you actually get in Supreme Command is just 5 Hulks.
That's the truth. So I think that this fixes that. Like, I honestly thought that Chapter Approved was going to tweak last year's Supreme Command, but really now GW is tweaking these commander roles. Oh, maybe that's the tweak.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the direction I'd like to see. Because even like Custodes, Bike Captains, and Blood Angel Captains with the Thunderhammer and the Storm Shield and the Jump Pack for all that nonsense. Why do you... there's a list running around in Adepticon. I think I went 3-1, barely did miss top 16. It was 5 Bike Captains and 3 Shield Captains from Blood Angels. Like, why does that have to be an army? Like, let's just get rid of all that. And we might have a much better game.
I could not agree with you more, Nick. Now, before we get out of here, you have anybody personally you want to shout out? Any people you met at Adepticon? Obviously, we need to direct people to your website because you got all the new fresh tactics. Anything new on the horizon that people need to know is coming up?
Yeah, so a couple things, Kenny, and thanks for bringing it up. I definitely want everyone to check out Knights of the Gaming Table. Like I said, they sponsored me. They're a really great group of guys, and they'll help you out. I want to thank my teammates personally for just being an awesome team at Adepticon. Warner Bourne, Brad Nichols, and Matt Robertson from Wales. We had a really great time, and you guys, I love you guys. But what I really want to focus on is my Brown Magic content, where I've been pumping out a lot of new articles, and I'm trying to get into streaming. I did a lot of Facebook Live recently. I just updated my services page. So instead of just doing list reviews like you may have seen I've been doing in the past, I've now offered a whole array of services ranging from me building a list for you, ranging from me playing a battle report with a list you want me to play test so you can see how it's run properly. I'll give you all the feedback on that. Or I'll do a coaching thing with you for GT preparation. So it's 3 months long. It's a whole course. You get multiple Skype sessions with me, a live Facebook chat, so we can talk about your list, and I'll evolve your list with you with the meta if that's something you'd be interested in. And this is all outlined on my website, thebrownmagic.com. So if you guys want to check it out, highly recommend it.
That makes me happy to hear. There he is, guys. Nick Navati, a.k.a. second best championship player this year. So that's not a bad record. That's
not a bad record. Yeah.
But Nick, thank you for joining me tonight. We will
Kenny.
We're looking forward to seeing that brown content.
Yep. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support you've given me. It's been a lot of help.
All right, guys. Kenny Boucher here, joined by Jason Craze, the legendary proprietor of Slow Fuse Gaming and Autumn Bombwicks. What's up, brother?
What is happening, man?
Yo, you sound kind of weird. Where you at right now?
I am stuck in the middle of a blizzard in northern Colorado on the way back from Adepticon. Good times, man. Good times.
That sounds crazy. So Adepticon, what is that?
So it's probably the most amazing tabletop wargaming convention out there. I think that's the easiest way to say it, man. If you like tabletop miniatures and you like war games and strategy, it's the place for you. I feel like it's probably the place to be at the end of March every year.
I agree with you. Obviously,
Chicago, Illinois.
Obviously, it was a trick question. I love Adepticon. It was rhetorical.
I feel like you've been there once or twice.
Yeah, so it was a different year for you though, because you went last year. And tell me what the big change was this year, because obviously it was pretty epic.
Man, we literally blew the roof off this year. Last year we painted, we hung out with good friends in the industry, talked with a lot of people, did some business, had more fun, that whole thing. Adepticon's great for that, play some games, paint some miniatures, hang out. The social aspect is off the charts. But this year was even that like times a million, because we finally got a hold of our own booth. As you know, they're pretty packed every year. It's kind of difficult to get in, get some space, and set up your wares. And with the creation of our own line of hobby goods and all the things that we do, we felt like it was time to kind of evolve and grab our little slice of the pie in the vendor hall. So we did it, and we got our 10x10 booth. We got lucky enough to be right by Forge World, so that was pretty awesome takeover, and it just amplified the whole show for us. Able to be able to have a place where people could always be guaranteed to find us. We made sure that the booth was really social oriented, not just hey, check out our products. But we were able to do the product thing too, so it was awesome.
It doesn't even really matter. You ran out of product in the first day, so it was just.
I was going to say, yeah, product is not really even. We thought we had this all figured out, but we didn't have it all figured out at all. Like we literally by noon on Friday, the second day of the show, we were like, yeah, so here's a coupon for the online store because we got nothing left for you here.
Well, which is a good point. Like anybody who came by, obviously they were looking for those gangsta new long wicks, traditional bomb wicks, the new utility brushes, and a lot of people had to get turned away that weekend because we vastly underestimated the popularity of those brushes. So definitely, while we have you here, let everyone know when they can expect these back in stock and how they can get their hands.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, we did. We had a big announcement at the show. It was the first time that people got to get their hands on the new long wicks. Out of our bomb wick line of brushes, they are a Kolinsky Sable artist round with a little bit longer, flexible hair to them than our standard bomb wicks. And yeah, we did sell out. Those we knew we were going to sell out on because it was kind of the limited edition first run of those. The production run, the first kind of release on the web store and to wide public release will be later in April. Those are already on the way. We're doing a custom ruby red handle on those, and so that's taken a little bit of time. But we knew that going in. The bomb wicks, though, and the utility brushes surprised us. We brought, enough stock to, we thought handle the whole weekend and go home with some, and we were out by Friday. So, thank you so much to everybody for the support. It was overwhelming. And those bomb wicks are, well, I can't guarantee that. I think that we even sold out on the online store now because we were giving everybody the Adepticon 18 code which is still good through the entire month of April. And actually, I'm going to extend it until we get brushes back in stock for people that missed out. So again, that code was Adepticon18, all one word, and you can use it at slowfusegaming.com. But utility brushes are back in stock on the web store. The bomb wicks and the long wicks will be in stock during April, is my hope. So and then soap since we make in the studio is in stock already again because we blew out of that super fast.
The legendary Drunken Brush Goop by Gentastic.
Yeah, it has been the biggest hit in the history of hits for us, so which is awesome. People love it. It works great. There's no reason not to love it. It's easy to kind of hype your own stuff, but I fell in love with it. When we hit the right batch of soap, it was easy to just be like, okay, this is the best stuff on the planet. I'm using it.
That's what always cracks me up because we've been using that Masters brush soap for a long time, which is fine. It got us through. And then what kind of cracked me up was like you put Jen on the task, who was known for her beautiful hair. And she's like, well, how would I condition hair? And then, she like breaks the formula and we have the best soap in the world. And it's almost like Masters. Maybe they don't have any ladies working over there. The soap. Yeah.
They haven't thought about the problem the same way we did. We got sick of using multiple products for cleaning, conditioning, and shaping. So we were like, can we do this all at once? And she hit the magic formula. So yeah, hats off to Jen. She is the best partner a guy could have in a business and in life in general, and she just nailed it. She, makes great stuff and is excited. She was there with us Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the show too, and absolutely loved it. It was her first nerd conference, so she really loved it. Next year, she's already excited about being there for the whole time, and maybe we can con her into coming and helping set the booth up. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully. She basically told me she was like, "I'm coming the whole time next year." She said she had a butt.
Oh yeah, definitely. She had more fun than I expected her to have, and I was hoping she'd have a good time. So that was a super positive.
Serious one. We've already put down our deposit on next year, so you can guarantee this is coming back, right? The Slow Fuse Gaming Long War, the hobby hub almost. It's barely a booth at this point.
Yeah, our goal was to be obviously a booth by its definition, but more of a socializing place. Come hang out. I was painting live when I got a chance when we weren't, demoing product and telling people about our stuff and just generally hanging out with friends, and had that all on the live screen. And next year, if, the stars align properly, we'll go with a bigger booth and have even more space for people to come and hang out so our friends can get some time with us and we can meet new people and have it be as comfortable as possible. I like to do things that aren't just quite as rigid as, hey, welcome, here's our thing in our cash register. And, that part works too.
Here's shelves with cool stuff on them and product, right? You went that next level. We had the curtain wrap around, the banner across the top. It was so chill. So it was like, private and intimate. So I can't wait to see if we can get an expansion on that. Because, that's the only limit of the imagination that this team brings. It's like, can we fit it all in here?
If you give us 100 square foot, we can fill that. If you give us 1,000, we can fill that too. It's not even an issue. We'll just come up with new cool stuff to do. So yeah,
seems like
it was a good time.
It seems like that scavenger hunt worked out pretty good for us though too. I saw a lot of people coming by the booth, hanging out, picking up some Pop Goes the Monkey merch and some Hammerhead Games merch, some Slow Fuse Gaming merch, and going off on their quests for epic swag with some of our sponsors like Mantic, Elric's Hobbies, and
Secret Weapon. Yeah, it was great. And we did all that with very limited time. Only I think maybe 30 days of planning to get all that done. So next year we plan to even make that bigger. But it started off at the beer cart. The treasure hunt I think was a grand idea. Let everybody go buy a little bit of adult beverage, get slapped with a treasure map, show up at the booth, and get some free swag, and then head on down the road to some other great vendor booths and get stuff from them too, and just kind of march along. The main intent being that put faces in front of the right places to have some fun and find some new product. That was really it, and I think everybody really succeeded. Everybody liked it. Next year with better warm-up time, now that we know a year ahead of time that we're in, that we can expand on that, get more vendors involved.
It's gonna get high
people, some excited stuff. Yeah, it's just incredible.
2019,
all the support has been great.
Will be the high-fused scavenger hunt of all time.
Only bigger and better, man.
It's gonna be so crazy. Like, it was amazing, man. Like, we'll probably expand T-shirt lines. Another year of marketing, another year of branding, another year of putting out excellent, innovative products, innovative content. I feel like, we keep going, bringing it, because ultimately I feel like when I'm working with you, that it's like your goal is to only put out the things that people can use and what they, you're never really trying to ram things down people said like you want.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, the goal with us at Slow Fuse Gaming is to make the products that I want to use and that you want to use in our own studios. And, so the first thing to do is look at what doesn't work exactly the way I want it to, or, what works pretty well, but I wish I had it in just a little bit more of a personalized manner for myself. And, I try to go out without too much ego and just say, hey, we have this idea, and see if I can make it happen. If we can, then we make the product. If we can't, then, we either partner with somebody who already does so we don't step on toes, or we just decide that it isn't worth doing. And, I think when you take that look, that's the way I've always made products, whether it was in electronics or art or whatever. And I feel like it's just better that way, because you get an honest product. In the world of hobby supplies, just like anything else, you're going to hit roadblocks, and you're going to find out that, hey, maybe this didn't work as well as I thought it did. But by involving the community in the process, we've had great success, with people giving us feedback and saying, hey, this part is great, this part's not so great, hey, this didn't work as well as we thought it would, and then we're able to make changes. So we're not trying to, flood the market with 5,000 things, because we can't pay that kind of attention to it. So just a few products a year, make them the best we can, make sure people are happy with them, communicate with the community, and that's what's really gotten us where we're at. So
all right,
we can't be beaten. We're only growing. We got so much new stuff coming out in 2018 that I think by the time 2019's Adepticon rolls around, it'll just be, like you said, it is much better year over year as we can make it.
We're going back to like 2001 when for like those 2 weeks that people used the term hyphy. Like that, we're going back to that. I'm not going to admit I know what you're talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Pull my old man card. And I'm going to go. I don't know this word.
It's so like it was a big deal, right? Obviously, guys, that's slowfusegaming.com. That's the Long War Network, Twitch. You can find everyone anywhere all year on Facebook. There will be updates. Right? Obviously, it's the Long War Network on Facebook group. Like any information you want, we make sure it's really easy for you guys to find. Stay in touch, right? Obviously, one of the things we're trying to push people toward, we've said it before, is you got to get on Twitch, because that's, I feel like, Grand Central Station of all this magic that's happening, especially with Jason. Before we get out of here, I want Jason, any shout outs, highlights of the events, and absolutely, if there's any kind of sneak peek you can give us on what the future has for us, maybe some, a glimpse at a new product or something. What you got?
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as product stuff coming out, we just barely missed, right, on all of our April releases coming out, stuff that's new right after the show that people are going to get hyped at. We got the new Hobby Go bag coming out, a great, small, compact way to take up to 96 paints, brushes, airbrushes, your whole hobby kit along with you when you travel either to the local store, your buddy's house to do hobby night, whatever, just to pack up and have, better organization in your own studio. Obviously the new brushes, we've got even more new brushes coming. We have something that I think is a real coup in the land of painting. It's rare that you can look at it and say, hey, we got something that I think is going to change the game as far as brushes go, coming out in May probably. So all really close on the horizon. Some really fantastic stuff. We've also, if you were lucky enough to tackle me at the right moment in the booth this year, you got to take a small glimpse at our paint line that we're working on. So if everything goes right by the end of the year, we might even have Slow Fuse Gaming paints. No guarantee on that. That's one of those insider information things. So we reserve the right to backpedal on that one, but we're having fun playing with it right now, so that's a lot of good times.
Yeah, I was like,
as far
exclusive.
as shout-outs, man, yeah, exactly. We had tons and tons of meetings and just being able to put faces to names for all the people that are in part of our community and family on the Long War Network online, whether it be Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Everybody, the support was fantastic. So just a global shout out to everybody that stopped by the booth.
If you can pick one, though, that's what I'm saying. I know mine. I need to go and say big shout out to my man Reiner72 on Twitch.
Yep.
Coming by, shaking hands. This is a guy on Twitch who's just holding it down in his corner of Twitch on creative doing miniatures, and this guy's out here coming out, shaking hands, supporting. You know, like that dude was a class act, and that's like, so I mean, like, obviously globally, yes, I love everyone, but man,
yeah, it's definitely Reiner, a jack of clubs. You know, Wyatt, come on, man.
Oh, Wyatt at this point,
Wyatt
like he's just
get out there.
Yeah, Wyatt at this point is like that's family. I mean, that's like
he's just family. It's so hard, man. We see so many great people, and yeah, those people that come through. Caleb, CKS Studios, Caleb and Kat. I have to give a huge shout out to those folks. You know, we're going to be carrying Caleb's custom wood plinths and brush boxes on the site as the sole provider for that stuff. But outside of business, just the class act that
they were fun to
Caleb
me.
and Kat provide.
Want to hear some funny shit? Kat just pledged on my Patreon page today.
Oh, look at that!
there were a couple of XOs. She threw back a smiley face.
Literally, some of the most just solid individuals in the industry for what they do and how they carry the hobby flag around all over the world, literally all over the world, as they do their classes and social events and meet and greets and everything. So great to have them, great to be able to spend time with them. But that's, you know, it's hard for me because that goes for everybody that we got to hang out with. Is just spectacular. If you have not been to this event, if you're hearing about it for the first time, or if you've been sitting around home saying, maybe I'll go, dude, there is never a reason not to just start planning ahead right now for the next Adepticon. It is by far the event to not miss. You got to be there. So
there it is. Solid endorsement by a true legend, Jason Craze. Well, anyway, man, I got to get out of here. We got lots more to do tonight on this epic podcast night. Have a safe journey home. Much love, dog.
I will try to fight through the blizzard. Thank you so much. Peace and love to everybody out there, and we will catch you on the live side on Twitch next week.
All right, guys, Kenny here. I'm joined tonight by Chris and Jason. These are some legends over at the Adepticon front. It's a little tournament. You guys may have heard of it. 2018 in the books. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
So, my 11th year in a row. I'm going to go as far to say it's the best year for me personally. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a blast. I surprisingly, I was energized at the end of it. Normally I'm drained, but I think I just picked up on all the energy that everybody had.
You actually are kind of always the master, I think, of saying exactly the minimum amount of words. It's like you count your words, you count your steps, because you know you only have so many before you die that weekend. I've witnessed you playing that game at the highest level.
That has traditionally been true. We managed to split the responsibilities between us this year pretty equitably, and so we both came through it much better.
And that makes me happy. So let's just go over some stuff real quick. You know, historical 2018. You know, like I can't prove this, but I think it was the biggest Adepticon yet. It seemed like there was more people there than I've ever seen in my life. Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So final numbers are basically in. Straight out of Matt Weeks' computer, it's about 4,200 paid attendees. Conservatively, you can say 4,500 people walk through the door, because I don't know if everybody knows this, but you can walk into Adepticon for free if you just want to see it. So there's usually at least 10% that, you know, just hang out or want to go visit Forge World or whatever the case may be. So put that in perspective, 4,200 paid attendees is about 900 from last year. So holy cow.
Huge growth. I mean, it was amazing. Some of the vendors were on point. The classes were ridiculous. I mean, more people on the 4-man team tournament. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the 4-man team tournament is basically the crowning jewel of the event. The displays, everything is so big. I mean, but I literally felt like I was back in my high school in Miami. There were so many people in that room.
Yeah, it was, I think, I don't have any confirmation of this independently, but I think it was the biggest 40K event held in North America. 520 players started the day on Saturday, and that doesn't include another 80 or so playing Combat Patrol about 10 feet away from them. So you get about 600 people playing 40K right there in one day.
In one day, in one room. That's us. I mean, this is a night of history. We were just doing the webcast, and we were just like, hey, historical precedent here, historical precedent here. This is a history. This is history like unfolding in front of us. I mean, I'm so elated by like the concept of like esports style coverage coming soon, you know, like real, possibly beyond just nerd niche, you know, exposure for a hobby that we love and we're so passionate about, especially you guys who've dedicated, you know, you're running on you're closer to 2 decades now. I guess we can say that, on making this dream happen. I mean, how does that feel? Like,
It feels like there's a lot to live up to, actually. I mean, these days it's about maintaining an image going forward, and any revisions and changes we make are made in light of preserving, maintaining, and progressing the Adepticon image.
Which, Brandon, you got the sickest brand in my opinion. So, like, a couple things. Obviously, I'm always into the 40K side of things. That's always been my jam here at the Long War. The championships was amazing. I think it went off without a hitch. I didn't hear any drama from anywhere. I even heard a lot of people saying how much they enjoyed the mission structure, which I personally do, right? I actually interviewed Nick Nalvati earlier. We talked about how, like, necessary it is to have a meta that's different from the other meta, just as simply through mission structure. Because what it does is just shows you exposes other weaknesses potentially in the rules of our hobby. Specifically, obviously, Flying Hive Tyrants and Poxwalker regen. Now, did you guys see that across the board? You were looking at the numbers. How did you feel about that? Did you predict that going in? Thoughts?
Well, thank you for the compliment for the missions. Appreciate that. And as far as the missions driving a meta, that's not the foremost thought in our mind, but it is very much appreciated when something like that comes up as a result of a tournament, because I think you hit it right on the head, which is that if we run the same format as every other major tournament does, and if every other major tournament runs the same format, then you'll never actually see what's broken, because you'll just run the same armies over and over again. So I'm glad for this. I'm looking forward to see what Games Workshop does, if anything, in response to the results of the tournament and what they saw. And conversations they might have had with people during it.
Yeah, it makes me happy. That's about what I thought. Any other words? I mean, we had Necromunda popping off. We had Shadespire popping off. A Grand Clash, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's no secret, right? GW's hit the community hard, and they've done a lot of positive things. And I think you see that in the results, right? Championships ran at 254, right? Which is the largest we've seen in years. Your event was up significantly. I mean, there was a ton of fun. I was
172, filled out the wait list. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, 172. Over there, right next to you, was the friendly going off, and that was sold out. I mean, we expanded the 40K footprint in the hall this year, and I think the only thing that stopped us from expanding it further is terrain. We had to put 160 some tables together, and it was like we could have gone farther. So. Across the board, right? I mean, the GW hobby came back with a storm this year at Adepticon. I think that drove a lot of growth. It's not just them. There were a lot of other great things going on. Anybody that went saw it. It's too much to probably put in a 15-minute soundbite, but I mean, it was just an amazing year.
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to even be able to do everything in 1 year. So, like, even just see it, not even do it. Obviously, it's literally impossible to do everything, right? But I can't even, like, see everything. I can't even find myself in every room to at least, like, acknowledge its existence with my own two eyes. That's how big it is. Like, it's crazy. So where do we go from here? I mean, like, obviously your only limitations now are like terrain and size of the room.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, like 3 years ago we hit the Schaumburg Renaissance, and it kind of felt like we were a firecracker in a can, right? It was like, are we ever going to fill this place? And 4,500 people has blown the doors off that place.
I mean, where we go from that? Yo, bring this thing to San Diego, man.
Yeah, there's some folks that work on that. That's their job, is to do the long range planning. So I just go where they tell me to go.
You guys do it with so much class, as always. What was your highlights of the weekend? Like, personal, totally subjective, 100% biased. What were your highlights?
So I think I'll jump in, and Jason, I think we're going to differ on this, but for me, obviously I like all aspects of it, and I like being able to provide something for all the different enthusiasts, specifically here at Games Workshop, right? So the championships went well, they were fun, that crowd enjoyed it. Friday night is our fun night with, kind of the more laid back events. And then Saturday was the team tournament, went off without a hitch. And I look at the hobby for the weekend, and I think that was the big winner, right? The top teams continue to do amazing work. If you saw the showcase for the team tournament stuff, you can see the amazing work that's done. But where I focused on is the middle, right? The teams that are getting tabletop paint scores or, slightly above tabletop paint scores, as a group, that group brought up, they came harder than they've come before. And I think they did a much better job overall just representing. I think you see a hobby renaissance there with those teams that aren't professional painters, but, they went tabletop and beyond, whereas before, it was maybe just tabletop.
That makes sense. It seems like the middle ground was less the middle ground this year.
Yeah, I agree with what Chris said there. My two are mostly personal. So I wrote the missions primarily this year, and the feedback I got was universally positive. And there are some tweaks we're going to make. And of course, we always look at every year scrapping everything and starting from scratch. And we may do that again, but we may preserve this basic structure for the mission. So I was really glad because I was really nervous. I wrote missions for the championship. I wrote missions for the team tournament. I wrote missions for combat patrol. And so when I stopped by and talked to those guys too, they loved them, which is great for me. So that was my personal highlight. And I think the other thing to focus on is that the way the theme score, the way we calculated that, what we implemented for this year, makes me very excited about moving forward with this. I think over the next year or two, as people get more used to it, because we're definitely going to do it again. It was really, really successful. It provided us with a lot of information, and it really helped clarify any differences between what the judges would see in a team tournament theme and what the other players were seeing, when they were across the table from that.
We've been implementing that system for a while. We call it player police scores, which are like a subjective score, obviously, right? You can make the rubric as, easy to understand as possible, but there's always gonna be that subjectivity. And a lot of people they're like, oh, but that's a subjective score. It's like, but a necessary score. It's necessary to know people's opinions on how this plays out.
Right, and it's subjective on the judges' side.
Yeah,
too.
but you have to assume that the judges are slightly more objective because they're coming in with their rubrics and they're trying to really uphold it, but every judge sees things differently. So I just in my mind, I'm like, judge scores objective, player scores subjective, even though none of them are really objective, but it seems necessary to me. And I was blown away by how much, delineation in the scoring you were able to create with just that new score.
Right. And Chris can speak to the calculation part.
Yeah, I think, so my day job is I work in analytics. So we put some of my day job to use here. And in essence, what we did is we used the player opinion against the judge's opinion to look for variances, right? It tells me a lot of things. And behind the scenes, nobody wants to hear the boring stuff, but we basically just dumped it into Excel and ran some analytics on it to see, what was going on and how consistent were our judges performing and how consistently were teams being judged by their peers versus what our judges were doing. And it gave us a chance to very quickly look for places where we might have disagreed and go back and review that on the fly. Right? So
it's amazing.
It was something we would normally do in the course of the time after Adepticon was done really on the fly on Sunday. And I think the scores we got were much more consistent this year. And I think we also learned a lot in the process along the way of just, where those differences lie, right? Folks still, I hear folks at lunch, they're like, yeah, I wanted to give them theme, but I wasn't super crazy about their paint job. And I'm like, oh, but it's not paint. So there's still work to be done there from a communication standpoint. But it certainly told us a ton of information that we wouldn't have normally had and gave us a better product.
Sure, you can't argue with the product, man. That end result, is, and that's where those hobby scores come into play, right? Like you just said, but it's not painting. So there's a theme score, there's a painting score, there's a sportsmanship score. And as humans we naturally just use our opinion every time we make that score. And a lot of times they blur together. And I think that, the more delineation you can create, the real true borders between them, it's very difficult to do, but you're using robots now to make that happen. So I'm like, yes, let me glimpse that spreadsheet, homie, so we can start implementing something like that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I look at the team that won theme and presentation, right? Perfect score from the judges. Okay, great. They played 3 opponents on Saturday. Perfect score from the opponents on Saturday. and then we put them in front of a panel of celebrity hobbyists, right? So all the guys and girls that are teaching classes over in the hobby seminar, they come over and quietly judge that, right? It's not like they run up and be like, "Hi, I'm your judge," right? They go through and they quietly judge it anonymously, and then I get a stack on Sunday morning of all of their outcomes, and by far and large, by a margin of like 2-1, they won that too. So,
oh wow.
That's just a confirmation, of the effort, but also the process, right? When we see top quality, we recognized it, all of the opponents recognized it, and the celebrity judges that come through and help us out all recognized it. And it was in 3 different completely formats that we got to the same conclusion. So it's a good validation of the process and tells me that, we've got something that's in a good place.
Ooh, that makes me happy. So you heard it here first, guys. Adepticon, the most innovative format in the business. Like that is true innovation, and I appreciate that. So for our viewers and our listeners at home, can we get the early warning? When is it? Adepticon 2019. When is it going to happen?
Next year.
Tight, very accurate.
I was hoping I could give you those, but we're just not quite ready to release them yet. There's a little bit more behind the scenes work. Nobody fear. The dates are set. I just can't tell you what they are yet.
You heard it here first. 2019, officially. Adepticon. It's happening. 2019 is happening. 2019. Fact. Cool, guys. Well, that was a great little talk. I really liked it. Hearing all these numbers. Adepticon is my favorite, my most cherished event to go to. It's been a part of my life for over a decade, and I'm super happy it was this amazing that you guys continue to remain passionate and vigilant towards your journey to excellence. Guys, thanks for joining me tonight.
Absolutely. Hey, Kay, put yourself in that bucket, man, because you're running a big event now. There, you guys are helping us with all this live stream. You're helping us on site. You guys are part of the team. So give yourself some props.
I appreciate
it, Kay.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. I will give myself props tonight. I promise.
I just wanted to. This is kind of rough for me to do, but as you guys know, you might have heard I'm an author. And I was nominated very recently for the Colorado Book Award, and it's something I have to capitalize on. So right now I have to essentially write a novel between now and June in case I win that thing. So this is going to be my last podcast until probably around July. And I'm also turning off my social media. I'm going completely dark because I need to be my headspace. I'd love to give 100% of my headspace to this, but I can't. Still got my day job, and that's not letting up at all. So all my free time, I can't be scheming on like Shadespire lists or Necron lists or trying to keep up with this stuff. So I'm actually turning off all my gaming, everything like that, so I can have my head firmly in 2500 BC, Old Kingdom, Egypt, and churn out some quality entertainment for people. So that'll be me signing off until probably around July.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, Haspil. You're an absolute Tyrannosaurus. Ladies and gentlemen, here's to the winner of Best Book in the History of Ever, Mike Haspil.
Hopefully.
a literary Tyrannosaurus.
Literally.
I think we could just use that word twice.
Yes. Double literally.
Haspil,
it means the same thing.
You're an absolute beast. I know I speak for everyone when we say if there's anything we can do or say, we won't be able to get out with you because you're cutting everything off. We will flip pigeons to tell you that that we are here.
I just wanted to put it out there. So if like people are trying to contact me and I don't answer, that's what's going on. I'm not trying to be a jerk. But yeah, and I'll leave you guys with this, which is really obvious given tonight's subject. Listen and understand that Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead.